Beth, I'm going to mute you for just a minute. Okay, I think it's time to get started. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to History Happy Hour, the 500 Festival Princess Program. My name is Callie McCune, and I serve as the Manager of Engagement at the Indiana Historical Society. It's really delightful to have you all here this evening. I'm going to go over a few pieces of logistics before I toss the mic over to our speakers and presenters. We're really excited that tonight's program is presented in partnership with the 500 Festival. At the Indiana Historical Society, we are Indiana's storyteller, connecting people to the past. We do that by collecting paper-based items like books and paintings, letters, photographs, diaries, and then find that all tell Indiana's unique stories. And then we want to find engaging ways to share that, whether that's through publications, exhibitions, or events like this. It's through these documents that we're able to tell the diverse stories of Indiana and inspire a future grounded in our state's uniting values and principles. A few months ago, Isra, tonight's moderator, sent me an email wanting to know if there were ways that we could collaborate during her term as a 500 princess. So with a little bit of work together, we came up with this program. It's been a real joy to work together tonight, and I'm excited to share with you this conversation. With a few former princesses, Beth and Sarah, I was able to dig up their pictures from the 500 Festival archive when they were princesses, and with Kathy, who is a festival board member. But before we get started, let me just give you a few pieces of logistics. I know we've all been on Zoom for a long time over the past 18 months, but if you haven't, I want to remind you a little bit about how that works. For tonight's event, our panelists will talk for about 35 minutes, and then we'll open it up to your questions. If you do have questions as we go along, please feel free to drop them into the question and answer section of your Zoom screen or into the chat. We'll keep an eye on them and try to ask as many as we can when we get to the second half of the program. We do also have the chat box, and we'd love to hear your thoughts tonight. Just make sure that when you reply that you're responding to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see your thoughts. And keep an eye on that chat box. I'll be dropping links and URLs as we go along. Don't worry if you miss one. They will be delivered to your inbox in a follow-up email tomorrow morning. And just so we all are on the same page, tonight's program is being recorded. You can catch the replay on our website, indianahistory.org, in the upcoming weeks. If you enjoy this program, we hope you'll consider coming back for more. We will be having another History Happy Hour on June 17th, where we will look at the evolution of the holiday of Juneteenth. You can sign up for that and all sorts of other offerings at indianahistory.org. So without further ado, I'm going to toss it over to Isra Heather, our 2021 500 Festival Princess, to get us started. Isra is a recent graduate of IUPUI, where she majored in biology and sociology, literally walked across the stage last weekend, if I remember correctly. And she minored in population health sciences. As well as being a current 500 princess, through that program, she serves the Indianapolis community through outreach and civic engagements. And it's exciting to hear that Isra is going to stick around in Indianapolis for a while. She's going to be going to the IU McKinney School of Law next fall. So thank you so much for joining us, Isra. I'll hand it over to you for tonight's program.
Thank you so much, Callie, and thank you everyone for joining as we discuss the 500 Festival Princess Program, its history, and its legacy. So let's start off by getting to know our panelists. We're at a happy hour, so we always like to start off with what you're drinking. So for each of our panelists, can you please introduce yourself, how you are involved with the 500 Festival Princess Program, and then your drink of choice, and maybe if that drink represents your experience with the Princess Program at all. So can we go ahead and get started with Beth, please?
So you're going with the oldest one first? That's great. I would say water at this age I need to be drinking, but I'm also in a suite at the racetrack. And so the drink of choice tonight is a dark and stormy. I'm not going to have too much of that. I was a princess in 78. But gosh, that was so long ago. What else do you want to know, Isra?
We'll get to more questions later, but thank you for that introduction. All right, let's go to our other former princess. Sarah, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Sarah Jacobson. I was a 2009 500 Festival Princess, and I've been involved ever since. I've done, helped with selection and orientation, but primarily I just help with race weekend now. I live in Minnesota, so it's one of my favorite things to come back to Indiana every year to help out and see you guys. And I couldn't decide on a drink I wanted. If I was at the track, I'd want a beer. If I was at the 500 Festival off the grid ball, I'd have some fancy cocktail. But I went with wine because that's what I primarily drink with my princess alumni friends when we're catching up and things like that.
All right, sounds good. Kathy, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Kathy Cabello, and it's such a joy to be here with Beth and Sarah and Isra to speak about the 500 Festival Princess program. I have been involved for 7 years, specifically as on the 500 Festival board, but really working with the Princess program. So it's been really a passion for me to be involved in it. So my drink of choice tonight is kind of boring. I'm drinking water. I've just been, running around today. So water is my choice drink for right now. But I would love to be drinking champagne because champagne is so celebratory. I love it. And celebrating the princesses and celebrating the race and celebrating the 500 Festival. To me, champagne.
My drink of choice is also water today. I think it is pretty relevant to the festival, like with the parade and the mini marathon. You need to stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's go ahead and jump into our first question. So before we can even discuss the Princess program, I think it's important that we talk about the 500 Festival and what it is, how it came about. So would someone mind sharing, what even is the 500 Festival and how it came about?
Well, I can start out if no one else wants to. Back in the late 70s, 78 to 80s, I always felt the festival was really something that supported the Indy 500 and largest sporting event in the world. And so we did lots of things back then. We did children's art that related to racing. We would put it up in the Children's Museum. We had kids from all over the city draw race cars and their thoughts about racing. So then we would put it up in the Children's Museum. We did things like mechanic lunches. So we would take the mechanics to lunch. So back in my day, it was a lot of things that involved the racing. And of course, the girls all loved the parade. That was fun to have everybody there. But I just think the festival is a wonderful, wonderful organization that supports the biggest spectacle in racing. And I've enjoyed all the events, and it has evolved into a lot of different things. But back in my day, I think we just had some wonderful times, great memories.
And I would just like to say, from my perspective, that it has been really focused on life enriching programs, events, just supporting, back to what Beth said, the Indianapolis 500. We all lead up, all that we do points to that. So it's almost like a crescendo into where we're aiming. So things that we're involved in to get people excited and to raise awareness of the race. And that's the role of the festival, to really get people excited about it, to get the community involved, and try to get as many people involved leading up to that day. And so it is the greatest spectacle in racing. And how can we get as many people involved in programs that support it? So that's kind of how I look at the 500 Festival and the 500 Festival Princess program.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I remember Sarah mentioned that she volunteers on the track. So would you mind like talking a little bit more about that and how that relates to the 500 Festival?
My goodness, I haven't been there in a while, so all these memories are flooding to my mind. I think of volunteering with the fourth grade educational program, having goodness, hundreds of kids come through that, uh, and even racing is such a way, I think, too, to incorporate talking about health and family and community. So so much of what we talk about when we are at the track volunteering is about bringing people together, helping people learn and have experiences maybe they haven't before, meeting different types of people and engaging with them and appreciating them. So when I think of the track, I think of the times, even just walking around the garages, meeting mechanics and picking their brains about physics and chemistry, and all the way to learning about new food at the track. So there's just so many experiences that I think the festival wants to come behind to support at the track. Those are some things I think about.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now let's go ahead and shift more towards the Princess program specifically. So how did the Princess program start and how has it become a cornerstone of the 500 Festival? Maybe Kathy, would you like to take that question from the perspective of a board member?
Well, I can't necessarily say how it originally started, but I do know that, when it originally started, Beth could probably jump in and add, but, it was about supporting what's going on at the track and everybody getting involved with, she mentioned mechanics and, supporting what the mechanics were doing. And, you think about families, there are families that are involved in racing. They're not just a race car driver. There are families that come around them, the engineers, the drivers, yes, but also the mechanics, everybody that are there. And they come with families, and you see like look at that beautiful photo of the women who were there. Uh, they were supporting what was going on, the events. And Beth could probably speak more specifically about what was going on 70s, 80s. I can speak in the 2000s, right? And I look at it with what we're doing, and I think we're involving young children, but it's multi-generational. The princesses go visit seniors, and they go visit so that they can share, because they have memories of going to the track and perhaps they can't go to the track. Well, we take the track to them. Go with a pace car. They show them helmets. You show them your sash, and it brings back those wonderful memories. My own mom, she met the late Bobby Unser, and that was her favorite driver. And I thought, Mom, how did you know him? She's never gone to a race. She didn't live here. She didn't go. And I said, how did you know of him? And she said, because I would listen every race on the radio. And so several years ago, he was a guest at one of the events at the race. And she was here. She was visiting me. And I said, we're going. You're going to go with me. She got a picture with him. And what I'm saying is it's family. You have multi-generation. I think the princesses take it to the people. Everybody at the track, IMS, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, they can't be everywhere. The race car drivers, they have a job. They can't be out visiting people. They're focusing on getting ready for and preparing. And yet the princesses, they can go out across the state and touch many more people than just a handful. And I kind of look at the princesses, there are feet on the street and the hands that are touching people. Again, children, seniors, middle-aged, people like me, they're touching everybody. And I think that's a role a very important role that I see the princesses playing. But, Beth can talk a little bit more about what it was like in the 70s. I can't, I wasn't here.
I hate you for that, but that's okay. You know what?
I was alive, but
but you're in your mother's womb almost. I think that it's true. I mean, the Princess program has evolved so much because if you think about that, it seems like that was definitely a long time ago. I used to say it We had color television, but barely. But I think at the time in that generation, it was like a cool thing to be a princess. So now it's evolved into almost not really princesses. You guys aren't princesses, you're ambassadors, really. Because back then it was almost like more of a beauty thing. It was like if you put yourself back 40 years, that was kind of the thing. We wore ball gowns. We had like a pageant and we had all that kind of stuff that back then was what was popular. But we felt that we also represented the 33 drivers. There we are in the ball gowns. And then we all had funky outfits from different sponsors. But for me, I think back then it was definitely princess oriented, but we felt so important because we represented the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was such an honor. And then we each had a driver. We each had a team that we could support. I'm not sure that's what the program does now, but I can remember a funny story is that when we were princesses, we would come to the track a lot. So you really understood racing. You were brought to the track quite often. One of the days was Thursday before the race. We had a mechanics luncheon. So that is where each princess was assigned a team. So then you went to your team, you got the chief mechanic, and you brought him to a tent where you had a lunch with him. So in other words, you really got to be involved in racing. So my team, I can't even remember who I got, but my friend got AJ Foyt. And she was terrified because she's like, I've heard he's so mean. So I said, you give me AJ, you take my guy. So I got AJ Foyt. And honestly, it's been how many years since 78? When I see AJ Foyt today, he always says, hey, there's my princess. So it's been that many years, but we really did a lot of programs at the track. So it's great that it's expanded to more ambassador educating the state. But as princesses in that day, 40 years ago, it was like we were engulfed in the speedway. So we took care of the teams. We were assigned the mechanics. So it was a lot of fun out here during those times, but totally different. But that was just one of my funny stories. I see him all the time, and that's my team.
You know, I want to jump.
Yeah, it sounds like the response. Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
I just want to jump in because it's neat to see how relevant the Princess program was when Beth was there, how relevant. And then I look at it now and I think the Princess program has evolved with the times and it's relevant now for this day and age.
Yes.
And that's the beauty. It is still a relevant program. And
it is. And, you know, to that point, the girls today, from what I understand, are definitely networking and trying to meet people for the future, right? So 40 years ago, my sponsor became my boss. So in that sense, it still is relevant to the fact that my boss was my sponsor. And it was a big deal back then. So that's a cool thing that's really gone on through generations, that it's definitely helped princesses along the way.
And it sounds like too, Beth, women were coming into the program wanting to be a part of it because they loved racing, they were passionate about it. And my story is a little different. I came out of the program passionate about racing and passionate about IMS and the 500 Festival. So it's neat to have women who already come in and appreciate it and understand, and women that come out taking away all that IMS and the 500 and the festival have to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Sarah, I have a question more specifically for you. So Beth talked a lot about her responsibilities as a princess, and she had a lot like on the track, especially with supporting her drivers. So would you mind sharing what some of your responsibilities were when you did the program?
It's funny. I think I was in that phase in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, where things were changing. And so I remember one of our first meetings as princesses having an etiquette class. And I had never had an etiquette lessons before. And nowadays we wouldn't do that. but we also had leadership development classes, and we also did a ton of community service outreaches. So I think we were in the era where the festival was trying to figure out what the role of princesses should be. I saw a change too in the amount of exposure the women had to their board of directors. So I maybe spent time with my board of director once or twice, but nowadays I see them serving as mentors for the women. I think that's really important. And I see a lot more women on the board of directors, and I think that's exceptional. So, yeah, my time was spent doing a lot of fun things at the track and a lot of community service and a little bit of everything. I can be more specific, but that's an overview.
Yeah, that was great. And you brought up the mentorship aspect, which I would like to touch on right now. So, Kathy is a mentor herself. So, Kathy, would you mind sharing what you value most about that mentorship aspect from the perspective of a mentor?
Sure. I think when I joined the board, it was going through that transition again of how engaged should the mentors be with the princesses. And that was something that really attracted me to that. The president at the time, well, not the time, the current president, Bob Bryant, approached me on joining the board and talked to me about it. And I was very interested in the Princess program for the sake that it could help enrich young women's lives. And I told them that's my focus. I understand where it was before, but if we can be moving towards that mentorship, that leadership development, that's where I'd like to engage. And the photo that's showing right now, those are the princesses that have been my mentees, from my first one. And I actually have had uh, eight, wait, one, two, eight mentees. Yes. And the reason is one year I had two. And I've also been really blessed to have two queens that were my mentees also. So they've all been wonderful women, but each unique. And the beauty of it is I like to work with them, talk with them, find out what their future is, connect them to what they're interested for their future. And that's our role. How can we help you? How can we help you, like Beth was saying, network? How can we help you as you're approaching your career? The biggest gift that we can give is to help them in their journey in their professional career so they can move along. And that's what was happening. Beth said she worked, her boss was her sponsor. That's what we want. We want to make sure that we're connecting people that 10 years down the road, we can still turn to those professionals. They can turn to us and say, this is where I am, and even still ask for advice. And that's what we're here for, to help them, mentor them, help them grow, and hopefully see them giving back to the community. Most of the board members are very involved in the community. And I think that's an important aspect of the 500 Festival, to give back to the community and hopefully nurture the princesses to also want to do more. And honestly, in their own right, they're currently, all the princesses, they are so talented. They have been really involved in their colleges, their universities, and they're also involved in the community. And so this is just almost cementing that so that they can do more in the future. That's just kind of how I see it. But I know Sarah's involved with the young women also. So you probably have seen how it's amazing what the women are doing.
Yeah, and that's a change I wonder about, is if, I don't know if this is the correct wording to use, but I wonder if women in the past in the program were maybe more seen as, again, forgive me if this is not correct lingo, but maybe more ornaments to these extravagant or fun events. And now they're being encouraged and invited to be in and to participate and to serve out of that, rather than maybe be there to be seen. I think the girls' mindsets now is to not be seen, to see how they can encourage others and highlight others around our state, and highlight our state rather than themselves necessarily.
I don't know. I do know that I'm involved in interviewing. I have, for the past 7 years, been involved in interviewing the final round of candidates. And as you sit through these interviews, wow,
They've done it all.
you're impressed, and you think, these women, I wish I was that talented when I was their age. And uh, it's so rewarding to think, wow, that's our future, and these women want to give back to the community. The academically talented, so not only are they lovely both inside and out, but they're very talented, mind wise, skill wise, engagement wise, and that, you know, they're holistically talented and lovely and wonderful. And that's the thing that speaks so highly when you think of, you know, just in the form of academics. Their GPAs are, you know, average GPA of 3.7 something or other. It's like, wow, that's an average. They're all, you know, so not that that's the whole means of a person, but we really have top-notch people who are involved in the program. And it's just nice to know that they're giving of their talent to serve our community.
I'd like to shift gears a little bit now to the application process, since an audience member asked that question. So I know Kathy is familiar with this and she reads applications, and of course, like Sarah and Beth had to have applied. But what do you have to do to become a princess? And then what does the application process look like?
Wow. Well, the application process, I know it opens up in the fall. So if you know anyone who's interested in doing and getting involved, the application is in the fall. And so the criteria is very straightforward out there. I won't rattle through the criteria, but it's listed very specifically. And it's essays asking you about your, you know, why you want to be a princess, and your involvement. And so you need a resume, you need to apply, you need to be there's some guidelines, age restrictions, living in Indiana, full-time student. So that's how you apply. How do you become a princess? Well, there's, you know, there could be 200 applicants, and we have to narrow it down to 33 princesses. And I think it's about how you interviewing well, and just making sure that your application tells who you are. And to Beth's point, know about the Indianapolis 500, know about the 500 festival. If that's one tip I would give, is really make sure you know what you're applying for. Do you know about the race? Do you know about events? Do you know what they're doing? I think that's real important, because that's what you're going to be involved in.
Sarah, would you like to share your experience when you were applying for the program?
I was clueless. I'm not quite sure why I was selected, but I'm really glad I was. I didn't have much knowledge of the race, but I had a lot of interest. I had a lot of curiosity. I knew I wanted to be passionate about the Speedway, because so many people in Indianapolis were, and I craved that. I saw that energy and that excitement, and I was like, what is this about? So I actually heard about the program. I was marching in the 500 Festival Parade my senior year of high school, and I saw this float go by with all these incredible women with joy and energy on this float. And I asked a friend, I said, what is that about? And they said, I think that's the princesses. Okay. 4 years later, thought nothing of it. And I think I received an email to apply for this outreach program. And I thought, okay, I have all these things I want to achieve, and this would look great on my resume, right? That was kind of my motive, to be honest. And went through the 2 rounds of interview, and was selected to be a princess. And it changed my world. Even then, doing the interview for the Queen process, the candidacy, I really wanted that. And most of my high school and college life, I had achieved the things I had wanted, presidencies or honors, and I didn't get it. And it was like a really transformative time in my life of I can choose humility, and I can choose to champion this other woman who is now one of my best friends, Annie. Or I could think about the ways I was robbed or whatever. And so for me, the Princess program and the application process and the interviewing process really gave me a lot of humility, and it really helped me turn around this mindset of my achievements are for me rather than I want other women to succeed, and other women have a lot of giftings and talents, and that's incredible, and I want to celebrate those. So it can be a hard process for people, but it can be a really stretching and empowering process as well.
Yeah, I agree. Having gone through the process relatively recently, it's not easy, but um, there are people there to support you, and I definitely agree with Kathy. Make sure you understand like what the 500 Festival is and what you are trying to sign up for. Beth, somebody was asking where you are right now, so would you mind sharing that? And then also sharing afterward about the selection process when you were a princess.
Right now I'm in the pagoda. I'm on the top floor. So if people don't know, I mean, I'm Beth Bowles, but my son is Connor Daly. So he's actually on the track running around. So I've gone from princess to, having a son that's a driver, which is a whole nother aspect. For the nerves, I'd be drinking a lot of cocktails, but I don't. I just pray a lot. But yeah, the view's pretty good up here, isn't it? Yeah. The process back then, again, it's so different. Because like I said, I did not make it in 77. So I came back because I wanted it so bad, because I loved the racing. And I think it's probably, I sat on a panel a couple years. I think it's probably pretty much the same. I mean, it's interviews, the interview process. So I wouldn't say there's a whole lot different. I think my generation would probably be like what word we used before. I think I was probably the generation where we were, sorry to use it like you said, but we were probably the ornaments back then. So maybe we weren't as popular as you guys with all the IQs and all your degrees and all your education, but we were the ornament princesses back then. It was just a whole nother time. But we had a lot of fun back then. And I look at it differently in the sense that we all really supported the racing, and they did get us out in the community. Like I said, we did an arts thing with the children. We did things with other parts of the community, but back then they didn't have like things on the circle. We didn't have the mini marathon. So I think one of the only things we had were the the children's museum event. That was one of the only things we really got to do. Other than that, it was pretty much a lot of events at the track. So we were here representing the drivers. For those listening, there are 33 princesses because there's 33 drivers. So that's where we got 33. And we got involved out at the track. There just wasn't that much kind of city or state involvement. But so I guess I'll take that name ornament and wear it well.
I think that's a lovely thing.
Back then, hey, it was a princess.
Well,
we all wanted to be pretty back then. Now everybody has to be smart. I don't want to see my GPA against the girls that are going out now.
You better
I mean, all I know is back then it was a princess thing. We had a pageant. We wore long dresses, big long gloves, and I was Miss Congeniality, which I figured was awarded to the person that wasn't necessarily attractive, but she was sure funny. No, I was funny, so that's why I got it. But to take that to another degree, I went to Purdue and graduated, but my business has been Blackburn Sports Marketing, which is my maiden name, and I have worked 30 years at the racetrack. So I've done corporate hospitality for 30 years out here, everything from race car promotions to driver sponsors to a lot of different events. So I think the Speedway for me has been my life. And it started basically with a Princess program. Loved it. Just loved racing. My dad was a doctor, took me to the racetrack all the time. Like I said, this is my 53rd year at the race. I've never missed it. I'd like to say I was like 1 year old when I came. But so yeah, for me, I'm the ornament that became the racing person that I love today. So
Well, and I want to be clear what I mean. I think when I thought of the word
oh,
ornament,
I know what you mean.
I think I just meant more of not getting to participate, because Beth, I see you as a leader at the track. Like, you have your own staff, you're doing things, you're speaking out. And now and I think you led in that. Like, the princesses now have a voice to educate and to speak, rather than just be there in the background.
No, and I'm kind of kidding you. The point is that it is generational. What are women doing 40 years? 40 years ago, we didn't have a lot of the opportunities in leadership, and you had to really push yourself. So I had a boss that was my director. So I worked, he was with Channel 6. I became sales, I worked my way up in sales. So I mean, today, whether it's Princess or you guys are ambassadors, it's different in the sense that it was more of a princess oriented, because that's what it was 40 years ago. It was a beauty pageant, more or less. If you think, you got to take your mind back 40 years ago, it was kind of a beauty pageant. And today, the great thing is they've evolved into, successful women, girls that are overachieving. And now, there's just a wide open, platform for all these girls to, certainly the people that work at the festival. I mean, the girls need to really take advantage of a lot of that leadership quality there, and network. It's a huge network place. Super.
And Beth, I want to say something. You said something earlier. Everybody wanted to be a princess, and this group, it's so interesting, because after they make it in, and I, again, I've been doing this 7 years with the women, and they get it, and then they're like, I just love being a princess. And so, they're like working and trying to get it, and then they're in, and then it's like, I love this. And so I hear that often. And so they have that desire to do it. I'll give one instance. One of my princesses, Olivia, they're all wonderful, but I'm going to say Olivia because she tried 3 times to be a princess.
Good for her.
3 times. So, not just once that I didn't get it. Not just twice that I didn't get it, 3 times. Talk about,
she deserved it.
Somebody really wanted it. And so you look at that, and then she went on to be the queen. And so you look at that, what if she tried that 3rd time, And so
again, it's a life lesson, right?
Yes, you're exactly right. And so they, whether they're all, like I said, lovely women, but they all have that desire. I want to be a princess. And guess what? When you put that crown on, I've never put a crown on, so I don't have that honor. But I'm like, oh, how fun would that be?
Well, let me just ask that part. I am very jealous of the Princess program today. Here's why. Unless you were in the top 5, you didn't even get a crown or a sash. I got nothing. And all those, and now I like, wait a second, you guys all get crowns? I want one.
Okay.
So they ended up giving me one. Like 5 years ago, they gave me a crown, an alumni sash.
Okay, we're gonna, I was gonna say, if you don't have one, we're gonna make it happen.
Wanted to be on the back of a car waving.
We'll get you on the car too. So it is wonderful, the women, that they have to, and going to the interviews, you won't believe how many times I hear, this is my 2nd time doing it. And
oh my God.
It is not a thing of failure. It is a thing of tenacity. I'm not gonna give up. And that's what the 500 Festival Princess, to me, I see, wow, they're not gonna give up. I look at Beth and Sarah, you both are princesses, and Isra, Beth, look at where you were when you first started, and now look at you. You are a business owner. So anyone listening, a woman business owner in an industry that is male dominated, wow. And she is super successful. And so, you look at that, that's impressive. That's a legacy for all the princesses, and it's just impressive.
I mean, one other story on that. Today, I can still walk to certain events. Like if there's a big event downtown, I will see some of the men that were CEOs and presidents of companies when I was a princess. They're all retired, but I'll go up and say, hey, remember the day when we saw, the city's small, but yet it's a great tight knit community. So I still see some of my old sponsors that are still around the community. It's just a great honor to be a princess and a great thing on your resume. It is. And all these girls that are involved, even if they've never been, or this is their first time, it's something that's very infectious. And it is something that if you travel the world, a lot of times they say, well, I'm from Indianapolis. They don't know about the Colts. They don't know about the Pacers. But even if they can't speak your language, they'll say, oh, the race. So you're involved in one of the largest events in the world. So, hopefully the princesses take that and they preach the gospel around the rest of their life.
Yeah. I was just going to say, to leverage it, I don't even say like when we could travel pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
But you would say, where are you from? And I would just say, Indianapolis, the Indianapolis 500. And they're like, oh, yeah. No matter where you are. And it's fascinating and to be associated. So the princesses are very privileged to have that connection. Oh. And I hope they leverage it. And so even if people say, oh, I'm doing it for my resume, well, good for you. That's smart thinking, because
yeah, I would say it definitely is a huge part of Hoosier history too. And I really do feel honored to be part of that. So I have a question for Kathy. So we talked about a lot about how the program has evolved over time, and we talked about the application process. So how have changes to the program attracted a more diverse applicant pool? And, how does the applicant pool look different today than it did, maybe in like the 70s or 80s?
I think I go back to that word evolving and being relevant. And I think when I first got involved, that was something that was very important to me. I thought we have to make sure that the Princess program reflects our community, our state, and our nation. And I think that's in aligning that even with IMS, the Motor Speedway, they're also doing the same thing, aligning. Are we attracting our audience? We have to, making sure our audience is reflective of who is in our state and in our country and our nation. And so that, I think that was real important to me. And when I first joined, I set out to with the intention, because I said, I want to be on the 500 Festival Princess Committee, because we get assigned committees. And so I spoke up and said, I want that committee. I want to be on that committee. And I've been on it for 7 years. I've been a co-committee chair for the past 6. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to make sure that we are attracting diverse candidates, and not just ethnically diverse, but also academically, like their careers, their interests. We don't want just all of business people. We don't just want all medical people. We want diverse candidates. And then also, we want them from all over the state. We don't just want them from Indianapolis. We want to make sure that we're getting them from all over. And so that was something that we thought about. It was intentional. We talked about it, and we made it happen. And so how did we do that? We just really started reaching out to people and letting them know, we want you. Do you know about the 500 Festival Princess program to begin with? If you don't, let me tell you about it. And then number 2, we want you. We want you to be in it. And we don't just want you from one college even. So we're talking diversity of universities. So there are certain universities that have had a legacy of princesses. Well, we want all the universities to be involved and engaged. And so that it was very intentional, reaching out, and that's how we've made that happen, and really reaching out to community leaders. Are you aware of this? Are you aware of the program? And making sure that more people get involved. And I think that's what's happened. And then word of mouth. Now when people see different people involved, they're like, oh, I can be involved. And that's all what it's all about. The universities, even universities that never had a princess before, we have princesses from, I think, every major university in the state of Indiana. We're not talking 5. I think there are 11 or 12 that we have representatives from. So that in and of itself. So not only, again, ethnically, racially, major university, and hometown where they're from. But it takes time. It was intentional.
Yeah, of course. I think you bring up a great point about, the word of mouth thing. Just for me personally, like, I may have never even imagined being selected or even applying for this because I didn't think I could have been selected if it hadn't been for other IUPUI students who went through the program and showed me how meaningful it is and that, it's possible for me to apply and I should just give it a shot. And, it really is impactful having so many different students from so many different backgrounds and universities. So yeah, thank you so much for, being part of that evolution, part of that change, like helping to bring in all sorts of women from across the state.
It's important.
All right.
And I think that's even a role you have to play. Your role is now not just now supporting the activities of the 500 Festival and helping to promote the Indianapolis 500, but afterwards, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to tell people and make sure other people know, yes, you are wanted, you can do it? And so I think that's going to be important for you.
You're going to be like Sarah, who's living in Minnesota. She's spreading the race gospel in Minnesota, aren't you, Sarah? Have we lost her?
No, it's a joy. People, oh, you're leaving to go to Indy for 2 weeks? Why? What's that about? And I love it. I'm like, oh, please ask.
Yes, come talk to me.
And I say, make sure you're watching. Are you going to watch the race? We'll be there. We'll wave. So you're so right, Beth.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about just how life altering this experience is. So just one big question for you all to answer, like in maybe a couple of sentences, but how has being a princess impacted your life after the program? And then, how have you given back to the program with time? Oh, I see we lost Beth there. So I guess, Sarah, that question's for you since you're the other alumna.
Yeah, that's a huge question. I think I had a couple pictures to show. Now, I will try not to weep while talking about it, but honestly, some of my best friends have come from this program. We have lived through the joys and the griefs of life together. This is some of them. Jeanette, who is on the far left, she provided the picture that is on the right. That is she is a speech pathologist at Wellbrook in Carmel, and every year she invites the princesses to come and put on an outreach because it's that important for her patients to connect with the princesses, to receive joy from them and energy from them. And then Jessie, the bride in this picture, again, I will get emotional, but when I think of my time as a princess, I think about all of the women I met, just as Kathy said, who are extremely different from me, and what a privilege to be around them and to glean from them. Women who grew up on dairy farms in southern Indiana, or Jessie, who grew up in Vietnam. And so I have benefited from their stories, their talents, their experiences. And to be honest, being around the selection program and walking with princesses these last 12 years, I think is what inspired me to go get my master's in counseling, because I was meeting hundreds of women who, as Kathy has also said, are at the top of the top in academics and thinking and critical thinking and service. But I noticed they still had a lot of struggles with mental health. And so I actually went back and got a counseling degree because I enjoyed about these women, walking alongside them in their struggles, and really just helping continue to prepare and shape and just come alongside women who I know, like Kathy has said, are going out and doing extravagant things in the world. Come alongside them and partner and mentor and help them in that way. So the Princess program has honestly even shaped my career now as a mental health counselor here in Minnesota. So friendships, learning from others, and my career are some of my biggest takeaways.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I understand like feeling emotional about it. So one final question before we hand it back over to Callie. So we talk a lot about impacting the Indianapolis community and service. So how did you use your time as a princess to, serve causes that you care about and advocate for things that you care about?
Well, I think when I think of the 500 Festival, I think of the over 7,000 volunteers. And so for me, I am an encourager. I feed off of others' energies. And so to me, one of my favorite things is being at the events and just encouraging and serving the other volunteers. So that's what I see the princesses do. I see them bringing other people from around our state in to these events, maybe people that wouldn't necessarily be involved. They wouldn't think, could I run the mini marathon, or could I attend this type of event? And the princesses are just great encouragers. And so I see myself doing that alongside with them, getting people involved, welcoming them. I think as Hoosiers, we're incredible welcomers. We're warm and we're caring and we're interested in others. And so that's a little bit for me. But I see Beth's back, so I want to get her thoughts. And Kathy's. I know she has an incredible reach in the community of Indianapolis.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Had a little drama here at the track. What was the question?
We were just having a discussion on service and using like your platform as a princess to serve your community and maybe advocate for things you care about. So Sarah talked a lot about like Hoosier hospitality and really bringing like the community together.
Oh, I mean, for me, yeah, I mean, even back then I remember I was from Noblesville. So I would go back to the Noblesville community and just encourage other people to come to the track, girls to try out for Princess. And I know it wasn't as much as they do now, but I think back then, again, it was just really more talking about the race and the community out here and the things that people maybe didn't know about, but we didn't do as much as you guys do now. So it is what it is. I'm certainly spreading the word now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kathy, would you like to share anything before we hand it back over to Callie? Oh, hi.
I think we should have Doug say what he thinks about the 500 Festival Princess. He sees a lot, so I'd love to hear what he thinks.
I can't hear because I'm deaf.
The 500 Festival program and the Princess, right? And how they get involved in the community.
I think it's, well, I say it all the time. You guys know, you heard me say it on the circle, that they go out to the communities where we can't reach and where drivers don't come from anymore. And they connect us to all of those communities around the state and the schools. And it is a great ambassador program, and it is special. as a former princess, she knows as well. In fact, it's amazing how many former princesses I run into that want to tell me what year they were a princess and how much they love the Speedway. And so it's a very special program that's definitely part of our DNA and part of what makes the 500 so special.
Isn't he cute?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to leave you guys here.
You're a great team there.
Yeah, we are okay. You guys.
See, that's what the festival brought to me. I gotta, just kidding.
No, I love it. Okay, so you see that, you see Beth, you see, where the blessing she had, but I do know that one of our princesses did marry one of their mentors' son. So how is that for a connection?
I thought you were talking about drivers. Two princesses from my year are married to drivers now.
Ooh,
But that
That's
was
not
long
scandal-
after the program. Long after the program.
scandalous.
Yeah. So you never know. So the 500 Festival Princess and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway are linked very closely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Callie so she can sign us off.
Thank you all again so much for joining us tonight and taking the time for a great conversation. I know we had one last minute question from a former princess who was interested in getting involved. So I'm not sure. I think we can connect you with the 500 program, and hopefully there are ways we can find ways for alumni to get involved in that way. So we'll hook you up after the program, I promise, actually. So thank you all so much for coming tonight. If you enjoyed this program, we hope you'll consider coming back for more. As I mentioned at the top of the program, we have more history happy hours coming soon. Join us on June 17th to learn about the holiday and the history behind Juneteenth, and stay tuned for more conversations coming soon. We also, if you are looking for more, join us on Tuesday, May 25th. We'll have 2 great programs in one day. At lunchtime, you can join us with our friends from the Jewish Historical Society as we do a lunch and learn called A Noble Dream, Lincoln, Indiana, and Jewish Americans. So if you want Indiana and Lincoln, they go hand in hand. Come to learn more. And then that evening, join us to find out about how to tell your ancestors' stories in our family history workshop called In Their Shoes. You can find out how to get tickets to all of those in the link that Cheyenne is going to drop in the chat right now. We'll post this conversation to IHS's YouTube in the upcoming weeks. In the meantime, if you'd like to revisit any of our previous free programming like these history happy hours, you can check that out on the playlist or at the link that'll be in the chat in just a moment. Tomorrow morning, you'll get an email from us with all the links that I included in the chat and a survey. It'll take you about 1 minute. We'd love to know what you thought and how we can make programs like this better and what you want to hear about in the future. So with that, we hope you'll stay safe, stay healthy, and we can't wait to see you in the future. Have a good evening, everyone.